Hi, I'm Stefana and I'm a registered dietitian. Today I wanted to talk about reading food labels. For starters, when you're reading a food label, always pay attention to the servings per container. The servings per container is the number of servings in one container, one package, one beverage, whatever it might be. It's important to never assume that the container, package, beverage, whatever it is one serving. For this example I have here, it's a single bottle of milk. It looks like it's one serving, right? Because it's a smaller bottle. But if you look closer at the servings per container, you see there are 4 servings per one bottle. Again, never assume that it's one serving. Next, you want to pay attention to the serving size. The serving size influences the number of calories and all other nutrition information presented on that label. Remember, we want you to have a high protein diet, so aim for about 70 to 100 grams of protein per day. Protein will always be measured in grams on a food label. It's important to choose snacks that are higher in protein. That way, you can hit your goals by the end of each day. As you can see for this example here, there's 18 grams of protein in this protein bar. So, this would be considered a good high protein snack. Notice on a food label, whenever you see total carbohydrates, below you'll see dietary fiber and sugars. That's because carbs are further broken down into fiber and sugar. But fiber is something that we want to increase in our diet, and sugar is something we want to limit. Now, there are two types of carbs, there's complex carbs and there's simple carbs. Complex carbs are what will contain a lot of fiber. That's going to be foods like whole grains, whole potatoes, and whole fruits. But simple carbs, on the other hand, are the stuff that has a lot of sugar. So those types of carbs would be highly processed, high sugary foods, and white carbs. That's what you want to avoid. Complex carbs get digested slowly, so they leave us feeling full for a longer period of time, whereas simple carbs get digested quickly and just leave us feeling hungry. When you see sugar on a food label, you want to make sure that you're choosing foods that are 8 grams of sugar or less. That's the total sugar. If you see added sugars on a food label, just know that added sugars are a part of the total sugars. An easier way to look at a food label is looking at those percent daily values. The percent daily value gives you a number to show how much of something is in what you're eating. Now, the unhealthy nutrients, we want 5% or less. That's going to be saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, cholesterol, and sugars. The healthy nutrients, we want closer to 20%. That's going to be fiber, protein, and vitamins. Now, if we're looking at this food label for an example, we see saturated fat is at 16%. That's way too high because that needs to be 5% or less. That's one of those unhealthy nutrients. And sugar is 24%, which is also too high. The healthy nutrients, on the other hand, are very low in this food product. There's not much fiber in there, not much protein, and all the percentages of the vitamins are pretty low. So, overall, this probably wouldn't be a very good item to choose. You might want to choose something else. That's all for today. Thank you for joining in our discussion on how to read a food label.